Meanwhile, Fatima feels strange because of her pregnancy and can't eat normal food. She finds a pile of rotten vegetables and realizes that these are the only foods she can digest. This scares Fatima, but the old woman Tilly calms the woman down. She decides to tell her fortune on tarot cards, but Tilly fails to do so because of a raven that has suddenly appeared. Fatima soon realizes that she is also attracted to the taste of human blood when she was with the corpse of a previously dead woman.
Nothing will ever be the same again. That's the actual language of the official synopsis for the From Season 4 finale. Not a fan theory, not speculation. The people who wrote this show looked at their own ending and chose those 5 words to describe it. That's not how you write a cliffhanger. That's how you write a point of no return. Something happens in episode 10 that the show itself is telling you cannot be undone. And based on everything the season has been quietly building, the 4-episode arc, Sophia's true function, Boyd racing through the forest with a flashlight measuring trees, I think I know exactly what it is. And it's going to hurt. From Season 4 has been the best this show has ever been. No argument. If you've been watching since episode 1 of Season 1, through all the patience this show has required, this season has been the payoff. The mysteries are connecting. The answers have texture, and every episode has felt like it's building toward a specific destination, rather than just widening the map of unknowable things. And now we have the official synopsis for episode 10, the finale. The last piece of the puzzle the show is willing to hand us in advance. Boyd's mission to take the residents back home reaches a terrible crossroads. Nothing will ever be the same again. We're going to break that down sentence by sentence, because there is a lot happening in those 2 sentences if you understand the narrative structure they're sitting inside. We're also going to talk about Sophia, who the actress herself has confirmed is extremely active in both the penultimate episode and the finale, which is alarming for very specific reasons. And we're going to talk about the boy in white who has been conspicuously, almost suspiciously absent from the season's promotional material. By the end of this, you're going to see the finale very differently than you did before. Let's get into it. If a tree falls in the forest. Before even touching the synopsis, this title is doing significant work on its own. And it's layered in a way that feels deliberate on multiple levels. The obvious reference is the philosophical thought experiment. If a tree falls in a forest and no one is there to hear it, does it make a sound? It's a question about observation, about whether reality requires a witness, about whether things that happen without anyone to perceive them are fully real in the same way. For a show that has spent 4 seasons asking whether this town's reality operates by the same rules as the world outside it, whether the suffering happening inside it registers anywhere, matters to anyone, that philosophical frame is loaded. But the physical reference matters too. The forest in From isn't just a setting, it's a character. The trunk that keeps appearing on the road, the faraway trees, the portal-like structures that have become central to this season's theory about how escape might work. Trees as literal doorways, trees as the mechanism of both imprisonment and potential freedom. If a tree falls, if the mechanism fails, if the door doesn't open, the title is whispering something the synopsis confirms more directly. Boyd's mission to take the residents back home reaches a terrible crossroads. Let's sit with the word terrible. The writers chose it specifically. Not critical, not crucial, not pivotal. Terrible. That's an emotional word. It's a word that implies consequence, not just stakes. Something terrible is happening at this crossroads, not just something difficult. And a crossroads, by definition, is a place where you have to choose. You can't stand in the middle of intersecting paths indefinitely. Something forces the decision. Boyd is forced to choose. The question is what the choice is between. Here's where the 4-episode narrative arc the season has been building becomes essential context. When you lay out the synopses for the final 4 episodes in sequence, a structure emerges that is almost elegant in its clarity. Episode 7. Boyd has an idea, a dangerous theory. It exists only as a thought. The synopsis raises the question of how much he's willing to risk, which tells you the plan is already in motion. Episode 9. Execution. The plan actually happens. Episode 10. Aftermath. Theory, planning, execution, consequences. The finale is entirely dedicated to what the plan cost. Not what the plan was, we'll know that by the time we get there. Not whether it worked, we'll know that too. What we won't know until episode 10 is whether the cost was worth it. Whether what Boyd bought with his gamble was worth the price. That structure, and the word terrible sitting inside it, is the show telling you without quite saying it. The price was real. There's a confirmed image from episode 10 that has been circulating among the fan community, and it's specific enough to be genuinely meaningful. Boyd is in the forest, at night, running with a flashlight, and he's measuring the faraway trees. That last detail is the one that matters. He's not just moving through the forest, he's taking measurements. He's applying precise, methodical observation to objects the show has been positioning as potentially the mechanism of escape. The faraway trees aren't just atmospheric, they're structural. They're the physical shape of whatever door might exist between the town and the outside world. Boyd measuring them means he has arrived at a theory specific enough to test. He knows something, or thinks he knows something, about how these trees function in the town's logic. And whatever that something is, it requires standing in the dark, measuring distance, angles, something quantifiable. This is Boyd at his most scientific and his most desperate simultaneously. The man who has kept people alive through pragmatism and observable evidence has arrived at the point where the observable evidence is pointing at something supernatural. And he's measuring it anyway. Because what else do you do when the door to home might be in the middle of a magical forest at night? You bring a flashlight. You take measurements. You do the work. Because the actress, Julia Doyle, made a comment recently that should be setting off alarm bells for everyone who's been tracking this season. She said her favorite episodes of the season are 9 and 10, and that she has a lot to do in both of them. Read that carefully. The actress playing the character most strongly suspected of being a manifestation or agent of the Man in Yellow is very active in both the penultimate episode and the finale. Which means one of two things. Either the town hasn't figured out what Sophia is by episode 10, or they have, but it doesn't matter anymore, because she's already past the point where discovery changes anything. Both of those options are terrifying for completely different reasons. But here's the question that unlocks the deepest layer of Sophia's threat. If she's as powerful as the show has been implying, if she's a direct extension of whatever force governs this town, why the slow infiltration? Why not just attack directly? Why spend so many episodes building relationships and gathering information rather than just destroying? The answer connects to the show's most disturbing ongoing theory about the town's actual mechanism. From feeds on suffering, specifically the horror of people destroying themselves from the inside out. The most complete despair, the kind that breaks a community permanently, doesn't come from external attack. It comes from paranoia, from neighbors turning on each other, from the threat being inside the house rather than at the door, from not knowing who to trust until you stop trusting everyone. Sophia's infiltration isn't tactical advantage in the conventional sense. The infiltration is the weapon. The slow poison is more effective than the fast one. And Sophia being deeply embedded in the community's trust networks when the finale arrives means the damage she can do goes well beyond what any monster breaking through a cabin wall could accomplish. Boyd is racing to open a door. Sophia is quietly ensuring that by the time he gets there, there may not be enough community left to walk through it together. Nothing will ever be the same again. When a show writes that into an official synopsis, there are only a few things that actually justify the language. A permanent escape, which changes the show entirely. A permanent defeat, sane, or a death. Specifically, the death of a day one character whose absence restructures the show's emotional foundation. Season 5 has been greenlit, which means the writers have already figured out what From looks like after episode 10. And based on the synopsis language, the show they've planned for season 5 is fundamentally different from the show we've been watching. Nothing will ever be the same again is not the language of the status quo maintained. It's the language of a before and after. The most likely candidate for the structural death, the loss that justifies that language, sits at the top tier of the cast. Boyd, Jade, Tabitha, Victor, Ethan, Julie, Sarah. These are the characters whose deaths would genuinely change what the show is about, not just who it's about. And here's the brutal calculus. Boyd's mission reaching a terrible crossroads could mean he finds the way out and doesn't make it through himself. The man who spent 4 seasons trying to get everyone home, dying at the threshold of that possibility. That's not a failure. That's a specific kind of tragedy. The shepherd who gets the flock to the gate and then can't follow. If Boyd dies in the finale, Season 5 becomes something completely different. It becomes the show about people trying to complete what he started, about carrying forward a mission that outlasted the person who built it. That would be nothing will ever be the same again with full justification. Here's the detail that I keep coming back to. The boy in white has been almost entirely absent from Season 4's promotional material. He showed up briefly to warn Tabitha and Henry that time was running out, and then disappeared. For a character who has been one of the most intriguing, most unresolved mysteries in the entire show, the aging between seasons, the knowledge of future events, the instruction to Victor to collect objects from the dead, the possibility that he himself is a story walker, that absence is not accidental. The show is protecting him. The way you protect a reveal that can only land correctly if you haven't been telegraphing it. If the boy in white appears in the finale, if episode 10 finally answers who or what he actually is, that revelation becomes the secondary emotional payoff alongside whatever Boyd's plan produces. The 2 biggest unanswered questions of the series, converging in the same episode. Because understanding the boy in white means understanding the town's actual history at a level the show hasn't been willing to go to yet. It means answering whether the cycles can actually be broken, whether anyone has ever successfully walked out of this place, whether what Julie has been doing as a story walker is something that has happened before. If the boy in white is himself a story walker, if he's been moving through the town's history for decades or centuries, leaving breadcrumbs like Victor's object collection for someone like Julie to eventually find, then his appearance in the finale isn't just a revelation about one character. It's the entire mythology of the show becoming legible. The absence of him in the promotional material isn't the show forgetting about him. It's the show keeping its best card hidden until the moment it can hurt you with it most effectively. Here's the most likely scenario for how the finale ends, based on everything the evidence points toward. Boyd doesn't escape in episode 10, but he finds the shape of escape. He stands in the forest with his flashlight and his measurements, and he knows, definitively, provably, in a way that can be shared, how it could work, what the path actually looks like. And then something blocks it. Not permanently, but the finale ends with the door visible and the path to it still obstructed. Boyd, or whoever is left to carry this forward, knows the answer in a way nobody has known it before. That is the doorway into Season 5. Because From stops being one show and becomes another. For 4 seasons, the show has been about surviving, about keeping people breathing through another night, about managing the town's impossible rules well enough to still be alive tomorrow. Survival as the entire horizon. After episode 10, if the synopsis means what I think it means, the horizon changes. Season 5 becomes about leaving. About an active, informed attempt to actually get out, with the specific knowledge of how escape might work. That is a completely different series, with completely different stakes, and completely different dramatic questions. The shift from can we survive to can we escape is the paradigm shift the synopsis is flagging. And it's the most exciting version of what Season 5 could be. From has always been a show that trusts its audience with patience. It asks you to sit with questions that don't resolve quickly, to invest in characters who might die before they get answers, to accept that the mystery is going to stay mysterious until the show decides it's time. Season 4 has been paying that patience back, finally, with interest. And the finale, if a tree falls in the forest, is either the moment Boyd finds the door and pays everything to open it, or the moment the door opens and someone isn't there to walk through it. Either way, nothing will ever be the same again. The show told us, in its own official synopsis, before we even watched it. Because sometimes the most honest thing a story can do is warn you that what's coming is real, and it's going to cost something, and you can't take it back. Drop your theories in the comments. Does Boyd survive episode 10? Is Sophia stopped before she does irreversible damage? And what do you think the boy in white actually is? Because we are finally, after 4 seasons, about to find out what this town is really for. And I am not ready.